Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, I'm going to be showcasing a team that I built in the Open Master League that I had a monster 14-3 run with on stream to climb up to 2576 elo, which puts me as the 112th highest ranked battler on the entire planet. Now the team, in essence, is structured around triple hard countering Palkia Origin. Palkia Origin is currently the best Master League Pokemon in my opinion, and it's also the most used. So building a team where it has basically no play should give me an advantage in basically all of my games. To start with, I'm going to build the team around a non-legendary and non-community day Pokemon, Primarina. Primarina, due to the water fairy type, is a complete wall-to-all energy from Palkia. I did want to use Charm on the Primarina, as with Waterfall, it would be very heavily resisted. Now that I've settled with Primarina as the closer, I need a safe switch that can not only also beat Palkia, but can bait out Pokemon that Primarina won't want to see in the back. Pokemon like Solgaleo or a Landorus. And to me, the best answer is going to be a Zacian. Zacian with Quick Attack, Wild Charge, and Play Rough is the ultimate Swiss Army knife, and it's going to be very good at luring out the Solgaleo Landorus types that Primarina doesn't do well against. So now we have two fairy types in the back, which means I'm going to need a Pokemon on the lead that can not only defeat other Palkias, but can also handle the Pokemon that my fairy types don't want to see. Beating Solgaleo, beating Landorus. So to me, the best answer is actually going to be my own Palkia Origin, but with Best Buddy equipped. With Best Buddy equipped, I can guarantee winning charge attack priority in the mirror, which means that I will have a winning matchup versus any Palkia that I see. So now the team is set. My own Palkia Origin on the lead, with Best Buddy that can beat other Palkias, and then the two fairy types in the back. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and let's check out this team absolutely demolishing the competition at Leaderboard Elo. Hopping into the first match, leading Palkia Origin versus Zygarde. I have two better responses in the back, so I'm going to throw one Dragon Breath, safe switch into my Zacian, and the opponent is going to respond with Solgaleo. I'm farming up quite a lot of energy with the Zacian, and I will fire off the Wild Charge. Wild Charge into Solgaleo is going to be no-shielded. Opponent is going to try and throw on good timing, and this allows me to make Wild Charge number 2. My defense has now been harshly debuffed. I have been debuffed now by 4 stages, so even a Psychic Fangs will do a ton of damage. Psychic Fangs will connect. Zacian just cannot survive that Fire Spin. But the good news is I baited out the Solgaleo. This would be an absolute nightmare for the Primarina to deal with. They can fire off energy with the Solgaleo, but that's very okay with me. My goal is just to try and set up the Primarina to sweep if possible, and getting Solgaleo out of their way is a very good start. So I do get the farm down. I'm heavily debuffed, so I'm looking to switch. They send in Zygarde. In comes Primarina. In the back, it's Palkia Origin. And this is why having a team where Palkia has 0 play is so incredibly nice. Because it's the most common Pokemon that you're going to see at High Elo Master League. It's going to be on like 2/3 of teams and probably even more than that. So building a team where it just has no play puts you in such a tremendously advantageous position. I can fire off Disarming Voice, Zygarde will commit the shield, and look at the work Primarina is about to put in here. Primarina is going to shield up the crunch. These Dragon Tails are double resisted, doing absolutely nothing. If they no shield, I can just switch and fire off a Spatial Rend after some more Dragon Breaths, so they're forced to no shield. They have to try and farm down, but this is such a miserable farm down. We get the full farm down, and with a Palkia available in the back for us, it's going to be a win. We've got a mirror lead Palkia versus Palkia in the next match. Here, you just always need to build up to the Spatial Rend, switch into the Zacian, and catch that Spatial Rend where it is going to be double resisted. They bait with the Aqua Tail, so they do leave with 5 residual Dragon Breaths, and they're actually going to send in Ho-Oh. This is amazing. Any Charm user is going to get crushed by Ho-Oh, so baiting out the Ho-Oh is terrific. They should throw a move here, but they don't, and that lets me make it to a second Wild Charge. The Incinerate goes through there, but they were at 100 energy, so them farming down actually does 0 favors for them, because they're forced to give up a shield. I win charge attack priority with Palkia, they're forced to give up another shield, and here what I should do is just shield and farm down, but I was feeling very cocky. I was saying, you know what? I'm feeling confident. We are just going to leave it all up to Primarina, when in reality, I could have just shielded and farmed down with the Palkia and been fine. Whereas now there's a Landorus in the back, and my poor decision making may end up costing me this game. Landorus is going to be firing off the Sandsear Storm, and Landorus is a very poor matchup for Primarina. This is going to be a matchup that'll be a lot better once Primarina eventually does get Hydro Cannon, because it will have a lot faster access to water damage. Here, my opponent throws on Alignment, just wanting to get this debuff before any more charms apply, but in doing so, I'm able to farm down. Keep in mind, they were at 5 on the Palkia, which means 2 more charms, they get to 11 of the 12 Dragon Breaths they need to get to the Aqua Tail, but they fall just short. Ho-Oh gets charmed down, and we're able to take the win. I've got a losing lead in the next match, Palkia versus Zacian. I throw a Dragon Breath, safe switch into my own Zacian, and the opponent's on Snarl. I do definitely believe that Quick Attack is the far better move to run on Zacian currently, as it allows it even better play in the mirror. My opponent is going to be firing off energy, very okay by me. They go for the Wild Charge, but since they're on Snarl instead of what I believe is the better move in Quick Attack, 2 Wild Charges don't KO here. I can actually survive that, and when they send the Mewtwo, they're unable to get the snipe, as I will make the Wild Charge. Wild Charge will connect, and baiting out Mewtwo is very, very nice for me. That's another thing that I probably should have mentioned at the beginning, but one of the reasons why it's very nice to be Palkia is Palkia does have a winning matchup against Mewtwo, whereas trying to charm through a Mewtwo is never a fun time because Mewtwo has incredibly good pacing and Psystrike is an absolutely busted move. So they're going to go for Psystrike number 1, immediately followed by Psystrike number 2. Zacian is often paired with dragons in the back, so I'm just going to save shield for Primarina. Let's see, what do they have for me? Are they going to send in the Zacian, or will they send in that final Pokemon? They're going to send in, that's not a Palkia, but that's still a win. They're going to send in Dialga, and Dialga just getting torn to shreds by the charms. I can fire off my energy right away. Them catching or not has no impact on me being able to win this game. They're going to be firing off their Iron Head. I can survive an Iron Head, but I will commit the shield. However, I cannot shield the second Iron Head because the Zacian could potentially get to a Wild Charge. They're going to switch in the Zacian, fire off the Wild Charge, I will commit the shield, and now I just have to click on the Disarming Voice. And Disarming Voice is going to hit for some pretty solid neutral damage. Down goes Dialga, and hey, that is another win. Moving to the next match, we see a great lead, leading Palkia Origin into Landorus, and the Landorus is not switching out, which means that they must have something that's pretty weak in the bag to Palkia Energy as well. They go for the Sandsear Storm, they're going to send in Mewtwo, and this is honestly a very difficult position to be in. I'm going to go for the bait. If they call the bait, I'm in a lot of trouble here, and they do call the bait. This is really not good. Both Zacian and Primarina struggle a lot against Mewtwo, because Mewtwo is able to outpace, and due to its terrific moveset, it can apply a lot of damage. Here, I'm not baiting. I'm going straight for the Spatial Rend. They call the bait, and I pick up a clutch knockout. That is incredibly valuable. What do they have in the back? What do you know? It's a dragon. It's not a Palkia, but it's a Dialga, and this should be a pretty nice position for me to be in. I can send in the Zacian. Zacian is going to be firing off the Play Rough. They will commit the shield, preserving HP on the Dialga. I can survive an Iron Head here. It will do a lot of damage, however, so I will commit the shield. I'm hoping they're going to switch it back out into the Landorus. Here, I'm fully expecting the shield, because at this point, they should realize that I'm weak in the back to Landorus, but they end up no-shielding. Granted, they can survive that, but in my view, that's a pretty large error to no-shield, as Landorus was the key to victory. If I'm leading Palkia, I'm typically going to be weak in the back to Landorus, and now I can just switch out, resetting the debuff, and send in Primarina. And since Dialgas are all running Iron Head plus Spatial Rend, they have no ability to hit for super effective damage here due to this unique Water Fairy typing. They can fire off a second Iron Head to win Charge Attack priority, but at this point, it's just too little too late for my opponent. I can send in the Zacian. Zacian not in any threat of being farmed down, and I can fire off the Wild Charge. They're low enough that a resisted Wild Charge will be enough to KO, and I can make it to Wild Charge number 2. Again, they're playing to Charge Attack priority, doing what they can, but the writing is just on the wall in this one. I can send in my Palkia, farm down their Dialga, and that's another win. Moving to the next match, leading the Palkia Origin versus Meloetta. Meloetta has quite a lot of bulk to it, as you see there, a pretty massive combat power, so I'm going to be staying in this matchup and playing it out because I don't really want it aligned against my Charmer in the back. I fire off the Aqua Tail, they will commit the shield, they build up to a potential big move, I call the bait, and it is just going to be the Psyshock. Little bit of stutter there, I decide, you know what, Palkia, I mean, it's a very good Pokemon. There's a reason why we're triple hard countering it. It's very, very strong. I'm going to farm up and play to Charge Attack priority. Aqua Tail won't quite KO, so I will go for the Spatial Rend. Opponent calls the bait, and I'm able to win lead. However, the moment I see Dialga, I'm pivoting. In the back, they have a Pokemon that honestly feels like a forgotten titan of the Master League, Groudon. Groudon used to be absolutely everywhere, but once Landorus got Sandsear Storm, Landorus completely ran Groudon out of the meta. I know from previous experience that one Precipice Blades doesn't KO, so I am just going to no-shield. I'm going to make it to another Charge Attack, but they will fire off the Fire Punch, and that is going to mean that I do not get my second move. I do still have Primarina, that has 100% of HP on it, and I have a potential catch available. I'm farming up with the Primarina. A little bit of stutter there. Opponent is still going to be able to make it to their Precipice Blades, so I will commit the shield. And now it all comes down to whether I can outpace here as the Primarina. Primarina does have a very healthy energy head start due to the fact that I was able to farm down that Groudon. And they're going to need 2 Iron Heads, even from this health range. I've taken a decent amount of damage. They're still going to need 2 Iron Heads. Iron Head number 1 is going to connect. It's going to be a race, and I'm able to barely outpace and make Disarming Voice number 2. That knocks out the Dialga. Things look pretty scary there towards the end game, but Primarina, again, being incredibly clutch. We see a great lead, Palkia Origin versus Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh staying in this lead, and if they stay in, you'll want to throw the Aqua Tail after 14 Dragon Breaths. This is 1 turn before they make the Brave Bird, and this way you can maximize the amount of Dragon Breath plus Aqua Tail damage before they go for the Brave Bird. They overfarm here, so they're actually at 80 energy when they fire off the Brave Bird. Basically, every Ho-Oh after they Brave Bird will dip into Dialga, and it's very important. If you notice, I send in Primarina, I don't send in the Zacian, because Primarina tanks an Iron Head way better. And Primarina, I don't have to shield unless my opponent shields first. So I will be firing off the Disarming Voice. Opponent is going to let that through, and because they did, I get a beautiful Charm farm down. In the back, they have Tapu Bulu, and I'm in danger here because I don't make that move. And I believe I am now in a losing position. Tapu Bulu is a very scary Pokemon to deal with if you're down energy, and I don't have a resist to Nature's Madness remaining. I'm going to try for a catch. I don't get the catch. They had the Nature's Madness, but they went for the overfarm, and now I'm in a substantial amount of trouble because they're going to get so much farm bullet seeding down my Palkia. And at this point, I've basically lost this game. I believe that I can get rid of the Tapu Bulu, but by the time that I get rid of the Tapu Bulu, I'm going to be at -4 because I'm going to be forced to go for double Wild Charge to get rid of it, and I don't think I can live the Incinerates. They're 1 away from the Nature's Madness, so I will have to do 1 in the move here, and it all comes down to, can I live 2 Incinerates? If I can, I still win, but I've taken a lot of damage. My defense is at -4. It's going to be close, and I just get KO'd. So we fight back, we make it as close as we can, but unfortunately, no dice there. Moving to the next match, Palkia versus Palkia. They save switch into Dialga, and we're just going to send in the Primarina. Even though I didn't get to align the Primarina onto their Palkia, I have 3 Palkia counters. So regardless of where their Palkia lines up, I'm going to be in a very good spot. And for my Primarina, I can fire off the Disarming Voice and pressure a shield, or just win the zeros. Disarming Voice does get shielded, and this is honestly better for me as the Primarina, because look at this, I can Charm all the way down, and I should exit either at a Disarming Voice or very, very close to one. So I'm going to exit with a Disarming Voice loaded. Opponent sends in Palkia, so they are reading that Palkia does not have play against my team. Disarming Voice does so much damage. They will get the farm down. I can send in my own Palkia. They have Tapu Bulu in the back. Tapu Bulu, looks like my opponent is trying to hunt Palkia as well, where they're bringing 3 Palkia counters. But fortunately for me, I have Zacian, and Zacian is the ultimate Swiss Army knife in this meta. The Zacian will fire off the Play Rough. Play Rough is going to be shielded. The nice thing here as the Zacian is I will be able to outpace. My opponent is very close to the back-to-back moves, but they don't have it quite yet. So 1 more quick attack gets me to that Play Rough, and I've done enough quick attack damage that the Play Rough is just about going to KO. I'm able to get the farm down. They can send in the Palkia. I bring in my own. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. We see a great lead, Palkia versus Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh is going to switch out and send in Mewtwo. Mewtwo, definitely an uncomfortable spot to be in here because my Mewtwo counter on this team is my Palkia, so I do have to stay in. But if I can win alignment, that means that I can put the Zacian on the Ho-Oh later in the game, which is still a very fine matchup for me. They will go for the Side Strike. That does a ton of damage. I'm going for the Aqua Tail, but this will not KO. This is not a range where Aqua Tail is lethal, so they can no shield and make the next Side Strike. I think about it, but I'm like, you know what? I need switch advantage. They probably have, for some reason, they go for Shadow Ball there. I guess in case I went for a catch, they're going to send in Dialga Origin, and I'm going to send in Zacian. And that's the other nice thing about this team is even if they don't have Palkia, they have a Dialga. So having 2 fairy types in the back, you're going to be in a great spot. In this instance, as long as I save a shield for Primarina, I should be in a winning position. Ironhead won't quite KO. I'm expecting them to switch here, so look at this. I click the Wild Charge before I see the switch, and there's the Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh thinking they caught a play rough, but instead, it's a Wild Charge, massive damage. In comes the Palkia, and this is where Palkia's typing is so incredibly valuable. I'm double resisting the Incinerates. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer the damage. So I throw 3, I switch into the Primarina, force them into an overtap, I snipe down their 100 energy, and they resign the match. Hopping into the final match, Palkia into Ho-Oh, great lead. They're staying in. When I see a Ho-Oh lead, I'm always assuming Dialga in the back, and if it's Dialga in the back, eventually I'm going to want to align it onto the Primarina. So I will go for the Aqua Tail, they're going for the Brave Bird, and in my mind, I'm already thinking, I'm going to be clicking on Primarina. As soon as I see that typing, I send in the Primarina, and I know that I can win all evens. The only time you're really in danger here is the Primarina is if they have a Dialga that unfortunately doesn't have Roar of Time on it because you can't Elite TM it, and they're stuck running Ironhead and Thunder, which would be a very uncommon occurrence, but is within the realm of possibility. They know Shield, I know Shield, I farm all the way down. They can send in the Ho-Oh, but the Ho-Oh is already so low. I can make it to the Disarming Voice. Disarming Voice, I mean, it's resisted, but they are just running out of HP. They commit the shield. I think I'm just going to send in the Palkia in the back. It's Zygarde. In comes the Zacian, and the opponent concedes the match. All in all, this team was just absolutely dominant in the day that I ran it. And I do think that it is a good example in terms of team building for the meta that you're seeing. If Palkia is going to be the most common Pokemon, building a team that's structured around defeating it, you're probably going to see some very positive results. For those who might want other potential options, another option could as well be something like a Dialga Origin plus Lugia core, as those two do very well into Palkia, and then you could have your third being something like your own Primarina there, so that way, anytime you see Palkia, no matter where it is, you're going to be in a favorable position. But I do think this kind of strategy, especially in a more condensed meta like Masters, can have very positive results. And as you saw for me, it was good enough to get me rank 112 on the global Pokemon Go leaderboards. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.